Hey y'all, guess what we got today? We got axle shafts. Look at them, look how shiny they are. Aren't they beautiful? Ooh. Yeah, so we get to test drive this thing maybe tonight, possibly, if not tomorrow, hopefully. We have a few things to sort out still with the motor. It has a misfire. Well, it's a kind of a slight stutter shudder when you like mash the gas, so I'm gonna work that out. I pulled the plugs last night and they were all fouled out. They were pretty black, so I wire wheeled them, put them back in about the extent I got last night. I pulled the wires off the coils. It all seems like it has pretty good spark from the coil to the wire. I have to go into a little further testing, open out the wires. I'm going to do a compression test on it because I haven't done that since I built the motor. And then the fuel injectors were extremely dirty, so I'm going to rig something up to clean it with, and that'll probably all be in the next video. But I mean, it's running good enough for me to give it a really small mini shakedown. Obviously this thing's not street legal. I don't have a windshield, doors, nothing, so I'm not going to go far. I'm just going to go to the stop sign and back probably. But it's running good enough for testing purposes. So now we get to put our axle shafts together finally and test fit them in the car, which in theory they should fit from these mock-up shafts we made. One mini crisis already. Only have one snap ring for the 8/8 side. Not sure where I put the other one. If I sent it with the axles or not, I have no idea, so I gotta find another one of these, but at least I know about it now and I'm not cussing about it later. Let's get these axle shafts together and see how they fit in the car. Well, I think that looks good. I'm not 100% sure what a CV joint is supposed to look like without the boot on it. So, I mean, this is down a little bit, so it's at an angle, but I think that looks like it's supposed to be where it's supposed to be. I mean, it's definitely in there. I don't know if you can see it from the side. I made the measurement a 1/4 inch extra what I made the mock-up shaft at. Also, this was sitting up a 1/2 inch higher a little bit when we had to straighten the diff out. We have to remake the rear subframe again, which that will be in the near future. You'll see a dedicated video to that. But I think that this worked out. I mean, essentially I could have went, you know, another 1/4 inch, or, I mean, it's got so much play in there, but I really don't know if it's supposed to, I mean, obviously it's not supposed to rest in that far. I think that's going to rest around like right there. So this is what it looks like when it's level. This definitely looks like it's going to work. So I'm going to throw this in the other side real quick, and it should be exactly the same because I have it centered now for sure. If you know more about this whole CV axle, custom CV axle deal, just let me know in the comments. And for sure, if there's something I need to do different or simple reassurance would be great. Well, other side fits, great. I'm not 100% sure what the optimal position of this tripod bearing is supposed to be. That's where it rested when I put the boot on the mock-up shaft. So, and I mean, when it travels up, which it'll be doing the majority of the time, it's pushing it in. So when this far down, it's never going to come this far down because the shock's not on. It's probably only going to come that far down. So I think these ended up being perfect. You know, even if I did want to add another 1/4 inch onto it, it wouldn't hurt because there's so much travel in the Explorer rear end, because obviously it's a, you know, it's a truck. It's going to have a lot more travel than a Miata. So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to put a little bit more length on it, but I think these turned out perfect. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Alright, well, I have one axle successfully built and installed. And where they machined the Explorer side, it's a tad bit shorter than the stock axle. So I just have a little bit of tape around here just to help keep the grease from squirting out during the test drive. I'm going to have to find a boot that's a little bit smaller on that end, but until then, that's going to work. So now I'm going to build the other side, tighten up all these nuts and bolts, and set it on the ground and see what happens. So another thing I had to do is I had to make a trip back up to work today on my day off, which I've made 2 trips to work today on my day off, which is fine. It was for good reason. But when I took my axles apart, I did it at work, and I made sure to put this snap ring somewhere where I wouldn't lose it, and guess what happened to that? But luckily, I work at a transmission shop where we have a plethora of random snap rings and just about anything you can imagine, so I found one up there that's gonna work just fine right there. We're in luck. We have a snap ring for each side of the Explorer CV. As far as putting this together, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of a pain getting the other little style of snap ring like this little guy right here. And basically you just have to start the axle, and I took a screwdriver and just kind of pushed it in while putting forward pressure on it, and then you can finally hammer it in while I had it in the vise. And now I'm just packing it with grease, sliding the boot over. I'm just going to zip tie them for now until I get some of those metal zip tie deals. And the Explorer stubs are already in, so I'm just putting the tripod bearing on and packing that with grease and sliding it in. Then we're going to do our little tape deal and put the boot on. So here we go with the other side. Alright, we're about to finally lose the jack stand challenge. Come on, get on slow. Well, it's finally on the ground. That looks way different. It's been on jack stands too long. That looks pretty cool. Fitment is highly questionable. Is the rear supposed to be that high? That is high. Is that right? No way, dude. That is that how a stock Miata sits? Because that is up there. Am I stuck on something? No. I guess that's how it's supposed to look. It looks so much different on the ground. How much clearance do we have with the oil pan? It's pretty low. Alright, now I gotta put coolant back in it and swap the steering wheel out, because this one is not safe. And let's see what happens. It moves, it drives. Battery's about to die, so we'll just get some better footage tomorrow, but I drove it. I freaking did it. Well, it actually did it. It drove. I can't believe it. Obviously there's definitely something going on. Something's going on. It's not running right. I don't think it's all in the tune. It's acting really weird, because it's leaning out when I give it throttle, but then it's backfiring a lot. I'm not 100% sure what's going on. My next thought is injectors and hopefully not compression. It just really feels like the timing's off, but I'm not 100% sure how it could be off. I mean, it's pretty straightforward to time one of these motors. It's not that hard, and it seems like it's good at idle, so that would make me want to think that it's something in the tune. I'm not 100% sure yet, so I'm going to have to do further diagnostic and sort out what is exactly causing it to run so bad. Then hopefully, well, I'm probably going to take it out again in the daytime and get some good footage of that, but hopefully the next time that I drive it, it'll be running right and I can actually get on it. More than likely, I feel like we should have doors and seat belts at that point, and a windshield would be nice. I totally forgot to get my safety glasses before I drove it. There was all kinds of stuff flying in my eyes, but we drove it. We did it, and that's pretty freaking awesome. I'm surprised how high. Why is the back sit so high? Are all Miatas like that? Like, that's pretty ridiculous. That's super high. Like, it's almost above the wheel. I don't get that. Obviously the front has more weight in it. That's not too bad. The old pan isn't that bad off the ground. I mean, it's pretty low, but I'm definitely got to make a skid plate for that. I honestly feel like this is about as low I can go. Well, I'm going to put 16s on it, so that'll raise it up a good bit. I know when I had these came off my other Miata, or they're the ones that came with the car, and when I had them on there, it was really low, and then I put the 16s on it, and it raised it up at least 2 inches. Alright, well, we'll catch up with you tomorrow. Alright, y'all. Next day, I'm back in the garage, and I had to cut a couple coils off of these coil springs here, just so this thing will sit a little lower, because these axles are not in an optimal position for running it. They're like way down. This thing sits way up too high, and the boot came off of this one. Damn it, you never have light. And the boot came off of this one. As you can see, all the CV grease. Well, I was test driving it last night, so hopefully if I bring it up, and then I tried to get some hose clamps, they weren't big enough, so I got some zip ties, some heavier zip ties in the meantime. Well, anyways, the camera's not going to focus, but these are reusable zip ties that apparently, and you're not going to be able to see it on the receipt, come with a limited lifetime replacement warranty. Like, who the hell's going to warranty a zip tie? Anyways, I thought that was really funny. I have half the mind to take one in there broken just to see what happens when you try to warranty a zip tie. Alright, we got this little guy rigged up right here. We got our SD card and the Holly handheld so we can data log, and let's take this thing to the end of the street and back. Good out here in the daytime. Let it get up to 10. That camera's not going to pick up anything good. You see it shaking already?
Yeah. You're getting this all the time.
Yeah. And it jiggles inside, so it's going to rattle. That's not going to work out well. That was a pretty good shakedown. It made it back in one piece. Something's going on in the rear end. I mean, I know it's not set right. I got to redo it anyways, but I think that the carrier that I got out of the scrap pile, I think it was there for a reason, because the stub shaft on the passenger side has a little bit of play in it. So that might be what's clunking. Hopefully that's all it is and it's an easy fix, but it works. Runs, drives, moves under its own power. And at least I have a general idea of what needs to be done now. So there we go. But as always, remember y'all, if you made it this far in the video, you're the real MVPs, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye y'all.
Pull straight in, that way you can stick the tail end out and let it idle. What? Pull straight in.